know that they've got a big fight when Boxing Bros is in town. That's when you know. That's when you know. So
Boxing Bros UK here. I'm the Hister Boss Chris, and we're here to talk about Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. This is a big fight. I'm so excited for this fight. I can't wait. I'm just disappointed that they haven't promoted it well. There's no buzz behind it, like with the Dubois Usyk. That was in your face. That was everywhere. And, you know, like big fights. And this is a massive fight. Two massive names. Freeweight world champion, former undisputed, two-weight world champion. He's got the ring belt twice in two-weight classes. These are two pound-for-pound legends of the game fighting right now, and no one cares. Like, what's your thoughts on it, bro?
Yes, it's not been promoted well. I think likely because neither guy is a huge commercial name, and neither guy in ring has super exciting fights to the casual fans. It's like I said, it's not like a Usyk v Dubois where, you know, Dubois is capable of a crazy knockout and Usyk's a heavyweight. Again, another one capable of a big knockout. It's almost like DAZN and Turkey, they don't want to put themselves out there and heavily promote this fight and then for it to be a 12-round snooze fest, which, you know, a lot of Shakur's fights are. We're huge fans of Shakur and we can appreciate the nuance and the skill it takes, but to the casual fan that just wants to see Usyk knock out Dubois, they're not super interested in, you know, these two guys who, like you said, are pound for pound greats, modern greats, and both guys that are aiming for greatness by fighting each other. You know, huge props to these guys for taking this fight, but they're just not promoting it that much, probably for those reasons, the commercial reasons. If they felt that this had the fight to potentially do the sort of numbers as a AJ v Usyk or Usyk v Dubois, then they probably would promote it like that, but they don't think it will. And probably rightfully so, because neither guy has huge track record of being able to shift pay-per-views or shift tickets. So it's unfortunate side of the business of boxing where we find ourselves in these situations. But we shouldn't let that take away from the fight itself. It's a really good fight, and I think it's going to be a chess match between two high-level boxers.
Yeah, that's it. Moving on to the fight, you've got Teofimo Lopez. His best win was against Lomachenko, and Lomachenko was undisputed, but not undisputed because he vacated WBC to be franchise champion. Don't know what all that shit was about. So he was never quite undisputed, tell a lie, to be fair, because Lomachenko vacated it and became a WBC franchise champion. He didn't win. Well, then they gave him the WBC belt anyway. Then after that, he lost to Kambosos Jr., and then ever since then, he's not looked good at all. He's always looked flat in his performances. He beat Josh Taylor, but arguably the Josh Taylor that he fought was not a prime Josh Taylor. We're not talking about Josh Taylor that beat Regis Prograis, that was on a winning streak, and that Josh Taylor was formidable, awesome. That would have been a wicked fight. We fought a guy that basically he lost to Jack Catterall. We all know he lost.
Yep.
And that's who he fought. He fought Josh Taylor, who was just fighting for the money, who didn't have the hunger anymore, didn't have what it takes, struggling to make weight, etc. So you can't really say, yeah, that was a great win. And then he fought against Barbosa Jr. He contributed to the worst night of boxing in history to watch as a fan. He contributed to that shambles of a show in New York. He contributed to that shit. So I just think the only thing going for him is Shakur Stevenson. He's moving up a weight class, never fought at this weight class before. He's never been in deep waters before or anything like that. Like, never had it. He's always had his own way in every fight. So he's never had to go to that dark place. But the thing with Shakur Stevenson is he's a special fighter. Like, he's a fighter that I look at and I just know he can go to them dark places if he needs to. I just know that he can. Just call it boxing instincts, know-how, whatever. You know, some fighters are special. Like Floyd Mayweather was special. Like Moses Atuma, he's special. Some fighters are special. Yes, we want to see it. We need to see it. But I 100% believe that he's got it. Zepeda's a great fighter. Great fighter. He played with him. He did what he wanted with him, when he wanted, just to prove that he can fight on the front foot. He played with a guy who arguably he could be a world champion. He could. Zepeda's very good enough to be a world champion for sure. But
he was the interim champion at the time. So he's at that level.
He's at that level, and he played with him. And if you can play with someone and just like go in the ring like you're playing undisputed and thinking, right, I'm gonna win this fight this way.
Yeah.
Just easy pickings. There's your special fighter, and for that reason, I'm well. Go on to you. What do you make of the fight? Both guys. What do you think before we go on our predictions?
Well, of course, Teofimo, 2-weight world champion, won the Ring Magazine belt at lightweight and super lightweight, and has got a really good resume on paper. You know, you look at the names, you see Josh Taylor, Lomachenko, Sandor Martin, Arnold Barboza Jr. Now, like you said, Teofimo Lopez, I think after he lost to Kambosos, I think that's when he moved up to 140. And like you said, he's not really had a good performance since then. Probably the worst performance of his career was against Sandor Martin. Kambosos, obviously because of the loss, but the win that had Teofimo's worst performance was against Sandor Martin, right? And Sandor Martin is a guy who's got a lot of fights, a lot of experience, but Teofimo should be beating Sandor Martin relatively easily, and he didn't. Right, Teofimo's he's a high IQ counterpuncher in my opinion, and we saw, like you said, that boring fight against Arnold Barboza. That was a relatively comfortable-ish fight for Teofimo. No point in that fight did I think Arnold Barboza was gonna beat Teofimo. Right, and then we go on to Teofimo's claim to fame, which was his performance against Lomachenko, which we saw Teofimo early on get busy and overwhelmed Lomachenko enough to a point where he was able to pick up enough rounds to win a decision, and that's no doubt Teofimo's biggest win. Teofimo uses a Philly shell to draw in aggressive opponents and is a very good counterpuncher that excels at making his opponent miss and making them pay. But at times we've seen Teofimo purely rely on his physical advantages a bit too much and get caught with huge shots, like we saw against Kambosos, and we saw him take some big shots on the back end of that Lomachenko fight. But Shakur, on the other hand, is an undefeated 3-weight world champion, winning world championships at featherweight, super featherweight, and lightweight, and aiming to add his name to a list of pound-for-pound greats that were 4-weight world champions by taking on Teofimo Lopez. Now, Shakur is undoubtedly one of my favorite boxers to watch right now, purely because of his ability to control fights. Shakur is an ultra-high IQ southpaw, the defense-first fighter. And to the untrained eye, you look at Shakur and say that he's got no power, but boxing is far more nuanced than that. Shakur seemingly has no power because he doesn't sit down in his shots. And Shakur doesn't sit down in his shots because when you do that, you become stationary. And when you're a stationary target, you're much easier to hit. Shakur's ultimate end game is to win by taking as little damage as possible. And that's the name of the game in boxing. Shakur hasn't got anywhere near the resume of Teofimo, and Shakur's best wins are the likes of De Los Santos and William Zepeda, both who are good guys in their own right, but Zepeda fights nothing like Teofimo at all. Shakur has the incredibly rare talent in boxing to always think 2 steps ahead and never be put in a bad position. And ultimately, Shakur seems like the type of fighter, if he sits in the ring and stands there and says, I'm not going to get hit, he's got the ability to just decide that you're not going to land on him now. He's going to move around. He's going to roll your shots. He's going to slip your shots. He's going to catch them. You're not going to land clean on Shakur, right? And, you know, that speaks to how high of his IQ is. And it's to the likes of, like I said, Andre Ward and Bernard Hopkins. And I know that's high praise, but going off what I've seen from Shakur, both in the amateurs and as a pro, I struggle to think how Teofimo could actually beat Shakur over 12 rounds. I can see Teofimo starting fast and picking up those early rounds by being more active than Shakur. But ultimately, the quality of Shakur's punching and overall boxing will show. And I see Shakur winning a I don't want to say comfortable, but I see Shakur winning a 12-round decision.
Yeah, for sure. So you're going Shakur for your prediction, yeah?
Yeah, Shakur.
Yeah, same. Like I watched Face Off today.
Okay.
And I seen Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson. I watched their Face Off. And I seen something different between them. So like Lopez is like, yeah, he's great. He's a great fighter, and I'm gonna beat him. Just like it's another day at the office. And Shakur Stevenson, you can see it in his eyes. Winning this fight means everything to him because he sees it as no one can take the piss, no one can criticize me. If I beat Teofimo Lopez, I'm beating a guy in boxing who has a big name, who's a draw, who's been on the cover of Ring Magazine as Fighter of the Year, blah, blah, blah. Got all the accolades. I'm going to beat him. And when I beat him, I take all his energy, all his power. Beating Teofimo Lopez is everything to Shakur Stevenson. Yeah. This is like his undisputed title fight at the moment in his career. And I just feel as well, for that reason, I just think the hunger's different between the two. Shakur's IQ, and I'm predicting 100%, I don't know, either majority decision or unanimous decision, but Shakur Stevenson is going to get that W on the day. I can't see it going any other way, especially after watching the face-off. And I was leaning towards Teo at first when it was made. Really? He was moving up a weight class, never fought, always had his own way. But watching a few watching Shakur Stevenson's fights back, watching the face-off. 100%, I'm going Shakur Stevenson. So we're both on Shakur, yeah, for this one. All right. That's it from us, guys. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Help, I need somebody. Help, not just anybody.